My name's Victoria, and I run a little shop called The Dark Side of the Mirror. Anything weird and wonderful that catches our eye, basically with a sort of general sort of gothic, slightly steampunk, slightly bohemian vibe. Dark bohemian is probably what I'd call us, really. I believe that everything is connected in some way. I think there are probably many dimensions to the universe and the world we live in that we can't see and can't easily access. I believe that sometimes they cross over and things and people and energy or spirits can move through these dimensions. I think the thing that really made me believe that there is a lot more going on that we don't understand is after my grandmother died. I was very close to her, and she always said that she would come back to me if she could. And I was 21 when she died, and I can remember waking up one morning not long afterwards, and I had a radio that was always tuned to Radio 1. I realised that there was an awful lot of talking going on, and I couldn't quite figure out why. So I just retuned the radio, didn't think anything of it. Then a few months later, I went to a psychic fair and I had a tarot reading done. And halfway through the tarot reading, the chap said, I've just got to say to you, I've got a lady coming through for you. And she's an older lady, and she's very, very forceful, and she's got something wrong with her leg, and she's not breathing very well, and she's going on and on about a radio. Does that mean anything to you? And I nearly fell off my chair because he'd just described my grandmother, who had died after going into hospital with breathing-related complications and who had broken her hip while in hospital. I used to live in a flat in Westbourne Arcade. And in that time, we had many experiences. My son was small at that time. He was about 6 years old. And we came downstairs one morning and found that he was in the sitting room, under the dining table, with all the chairs pulled in around him. And when we got him talking, he said that he'd come out of his bedroom, which was on the top floor, and there had been a Victorian lady sitting in the doorway of the bathroom. But while we were there, we also had one night when we woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, me and my ex-husband, and we could hear noises in the attic right above our head. They were really, really loud. Honestly, it sounded like someone was up there. When we called the police, they looked up in the loft and they went around the back alley, and they said there was absolutely nothing to be found. When we moved out, we spoke to some of the people who moved in after us, and they described very, very similar sounds and experiences, to the point where one girl apparently left in the middle of the night and then sent for her stuff the next day. So I went up there to the church at Boulder Woods, and we did an investigation one evening in September. We got up there at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and it was September, so it wasn't really cold. And in the car park, it was sort of normal temperature. But the minute we walked through the gate into the actual churchyard, it was freezing cold, and the air was absolutely still. There wasn't a tree moving. There was just nothing. There was a definite change in temperature the minute you walked in there. Walking around, we used the spirit box a lot, so I was talking into this thing, and what it does is it scans all the available radio frequencies in an area. And then we were walking around the front of the church. This was me and Rob. And as I'm walking past the church, I asked a question, and clear as a bell, name Rachel came out of the spirit box. And we looked at each other, because on our team that night were two ladies called Rachel. And when we went round to tell them what had happened, one of them in particular had been having a really bad head pain, roughly the same time as we'd heard before. A print called The Crying Boy. And there was a series done in the late 60s and 70s of children in various states of distress. And there's a bit of a legend that there have been house fires where the house has been destroyed, but the picture has remained untouched. But we've actually got one in the shop. It's very easy for our brains to trick us into thinking that something is paranormal if there is actually a logical explanation. I believe there is more going on than we understand, so I understand the skeptic's point of view. All I would say is remain open-minded. I think that it was Arthur C. Clarke said that magic is just things that science hasn't yet explained. But having experienced what I have experienced and not being able to explain it, I can only conclude that there is something else out there.